These rising stars got their big break when they hit the stages of America's Got Talent. And today they're here to talk about the rise and falls, the trials and tribulations, and all the emotions that come with fame right after this. What is mindset? Our mindset is based on what we believe, and anything we believe in, we put into motion. I have spent my life putting the mindset of perseverance into motion, and now I am here today to share my journey along with others whose mindsets have changed the course of their lives. Hi, I'm mindset coach Lorraine Lindsey, and I believe that if you can change your mind, you have the power to change your life. So are you ready? Welcome back to another episode of The Mindsetters, where we believe that if you can change your mind, you have the power to change your life. And today I have two very special guests on the show to talk about the mindset of what it takes to really rise as a star, all the trials and tribulations that they go through, and really like when you feel like giving up, how to push through those barriers and keep going. Just because you see it on the outside doesn't mean that these people don't go through emotional struggles, highs and lows, difficult decisions. And these gentlemen are going to be candid in their conversation about the rising stars that we have here today. So without further ado, we've got some members of the Future Kingz in the building. Isaiah, who I know you affectionately is known as Kangfrvr,
Kangfrvr.
You've been on the show before, and you've were very candid and so articulate in sharing where you were then. But this was a year ago, and a lot has happened. So we're going to talk about you a little bit. But then you bought Renzell.
I brought my ace boom coon.
Yes,
Right
and
hand, left hand,
Renzell, who
man.
I've never had the opportunity to interview, is going to talk about what's happening with you guys today, because there has been so many changes. And for those of you who are not familiar with these gentlemen, excuse me, not boys, let me give you a little breakdown before we get into this interview. So a little bit about Kang and Renz over here. These gentlemen started off, they were a dance crew, and they landed on the big stages of America's Got Talent. Well, you guys didn't stop there as a dance crew. I mean, you could have just been like, all right, that's it. But you took it to another level. You started choreographing for big hip hop artists. There's a little video here of The Baby, where there was millions and millions of views. You guys come right out the gate in this video. Love it.
Yeah.
So from dancers to choreographing big, huge music videos to saying, you know what, we're artists and we have our own creative energy, and actually coming out with some hit music, some great, great sounds. Here's a couple of the singles that they've launched. You definitely, if you haven't heard it, please. I still have Cash in my head.
What? Yes. Dude,
So here's some of the albums that, or some of the singles that they've had: Dirty, Cuddy, Cash, Problems,
anthems.
And you know what I love is the growth and the lyrics. I mean, you guys write your own music. Are you guys producing your own stuff as well?
Yes.
Producing your tracks. You got these really just, the videos are on point, because it's to me, it's like, it's so innovative. I mean, you guys are that niche, that new thing. You see people who are dancing on a stage or are usually in the background coming to the forefront, still incorporating the art of dance, but putting your flavor with music, producing great sounds. And then lyrically, if you listen I'm going back to like Cash all the way to what you've done recently, just hearing the grit Problems or whatever, for example, hearing that grit and that grind and that growth. So let's talk about this journey.
Come on.
Let's talk about what's going on with y'all. And what are some of the highs and lows? Because I think a lot of people out there, when they see influencers and people doing it big, they just see that. There's a one dimension of who they are.
Right.
But as young men growing up in an industry such as this, and then doing it as an independent, it's a big deal, and it's a hardy feat to feast off of.
Right.
So where do we want to begin with this? What do y'all want to say right out the gate? First of all, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. It's always good having these like check-ins with you, even just like not just on a podcast level, but even on a candid level, because a lot could happen in a year.
Right.
You know, like, and I feel like it's almost been about a year since the last time we've actually had an exchange, but the discussions that we would have, at times you didn't know the power that it had, like the influence that it had over my mood and like the way that I led my group, just based on the advice that you gave me, and seeing how the podcast has evolved, even like it's become like, you know what I'm saying? Like it on an exceptional level, it has
Oh,
become
thank
so,
you.
yeah, no, thank you for the impact. But that's really the goal, is impact, right? So
Right.
like um yeah, with the numbers, and it's a big numbers game. Social media is a big numbers game, but people might get discouraged by the low numbers. But if you're working hard and you're using the authenticity around your craft, the numbers are just a way to gauge the level of impact, or the level of, like, like, is it relatable? Is it universal? Are people feeling this right now? Because there was a point in time where it felt like the flashy jewels and the big producers and, like, big cameras and stuff like that, that was the way to keep everybody's attention. But when people can't relate to, not everybody in the world can relate to having like the nicest cars in the background and having this person fly you out and pay for this and that. So you have to dig even deeper to penetrate, like, you know what I'm saying, the cognitive of the fans, like of the consumers, of the
Right.
of the supporters, of the people, of the believers of all things gangsta. So, and gangsta, the acronym, knowledge against negativity gives strength to all. So like we can't exclude the people that support us. We have to relate to them. So I know that we have things that we could relate on our upbringing, and now putting it into the music has become the new game
Hmm.
for us. And
And how do you do that? Like, how do you maintain that authenticity and that integrity um, when there's so much temptation to be larger than life and to portray certain things? Because I mean, that's, you guys are, first of all, young men, with all due respect,
thank
and you're really at this like this pinnacle moment in your career
you.
where the temptation to be something that you're not, because
Yeah.
it pays the bills or gets the ratings or
Yo,
whatever.
yo,
How do you create and keep that authenticity without succumbing to the temptation of going outside of that?
Well, like he said, a lot of things that we try to work on, not just as like artists and creatives, but our friendship, right? Our chemistry. Like we try to keep that very authentic, and we try not to do things that would jeopardize that. Because honestly, without that, then all this extra shit. Like, can I curse? I'm
Yeah, you
sorry.
can. It's fine.
All the extra stuff like the music and the dancing, that doesn't even matter at that point if our friendship isn't there. You know
Right,
what I mean? So
right.
if I can't, if he can't help me be accountable for myself and my mistakes and vice versa, then I'm not gonna take his advice on what he thinks I should say in a bar or a
Right.
song. You know what I mean?
Right,
It's
Right.
not gonna
right.
work. Like we're just not gonna work well together.
Mhm.
But like you said, the temptations of portraying to be somebody you're not, which is what we're used to. We're used to the flashy stuff,
Mhm.
Right.
the big chains and the money and the fame, all that stuff. Like I would like to be known for somebody for being myself. You know what I mean? I want to be somebody who is not just more relatable, but somebody could see that he looks like me, he thinks like me, he sounds like me even.
Right.
Um, if he's doing great things with himself and his life and his family,
Yes.
then I could definitely do the same thing for myself. Not to be better than him, but be one of one, be
Yes.
myself. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So um
Do you guys feel like, because I know that on this journey, when we look back even to your first video, which was Cash, you
Yeah.
had a certain group, there was a certain ensemble of people
Right.
that we saw. Some of
Right.
those people were not seen anymore.
Right.
mhm.
And when you come together and start something, and you see it often in, like, for example, Destiny's Child,
Mm.
where you see these groups come together and everybody seemingly has the same intention. And then sometimes fame, sometimes the attention, sometimes creative drive, it just starts to change and shift.
Mm.
How hard is that when you're going through, um, behind the scene, these battles and these headbutting, and still trying to be able to create and be consistent in your creativity and
Right.
and putting things out there? Because when you're starting to fall apart
Mhm.
behind the scenes, it's hard to kind of keep things at
It
the
is.
forefront. So how
Mhm.
did you guys manage through that? Because you guys seem so grounded at this point in your
Right.
career.
Right. And I would like to say that we're just like fortunate enough to, like, between me and him, like, we're fortunate enough to have placed our priorities on the same thing the entire time. So our priorities have never changed. Like making sure that our family is straight, making sure that, we're being as like honest with our craft, honest with our lyrics, honest with our, like, our I guess, like, just our energy
Mhm.
as a whole, like just being transparent with one another. And those have always been, like, our chemistry and our respect for one another. Those things have always been on the top of our priority list. And, sometimes, like I just know that, like, in a couple of years that somebody's priorities might change. And with
Mhm.
a priority change, you start to notice that decisions might change, friends might change, like, mutuals might change, decisions might change. So like there's so many like moving pieces
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of people's lives that we can't control. But like if I could have it any way, I would hope that everybody is doing, what they want to do and what they feel like is like, all right, this is the path for me. Um, because like at the end of the day, like the Future Kingz was and always will be on the same agenda of embrace, like finding a way to win without having to, take a shortcut. You know what I'm saying? Like we want to do it the complete 100% way, because like if we did take a shortcut and we made it like super big and blase and we got like this mainstream impact as like just as independent influence,
Mhm.
like if we had the mainstream impact, what would we want to use our impact for? Like, would we want it to be? Because I feel like the dream for me as a kid, like it's always been I want to be successful, not just in a financial setting, but like I just want to be successful overall as a man, um, being myself. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've always looked at that like the dream, like
Mhm.
doing what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, and being successful, looking good, feeling good while I'm doing it. And that's always been like my main my main dream.
And being able to define that, and this is something that, especially when you've built a platform that people are now watching, right?
Right.
And having to understand success for self
Mhm.
versus the perception of success, and making sure that it's in alignment with your fulfillment,
Right.
Mhm.
right? Because at the end of the day, you can have this life that everybody sees as successful and feel
Mhm.
incredibly in a dark space and feeling unfulfilled.
Absolutely.
And how do you guys then really hone in and define what that success is, or how do you make sure that in the process, or do you even uh get the fulfillment that you need sometimes? Because I know you and I have talked candidly, and I know sometimes this ladder, this climb can be
Yeah.
a very lonely space.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, for sure.
I feel like recently, like we've learned to not just appreciate our time together, because we're pretty much together for the most part 365 days a year,
Yeah.
like if not more than that. If
Right.
it could be more than that, it would be. But we also had to learn how to appreciate our time alone. Whether that's, even though we live super close to each other and live together at the same time, like it's like
for real.
like no, for real, like
For
we
real.
live super close to each other but live together at the same time. But we still had to learn how to be alone
Mm-hmm.
because we were so used to being together.
Mhm.
And for some people, that's unfortunately all they have is alone. You know what I mean? So they can fall into these bad habits and to fall into the deep end, whatever
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
for that person. But
Yeah.
I'm just grateful that I was together for a long time,
Right.
and that this time alone doesn't feel that way, because I know I could not depend on a phone call to just change that at any point in time. But I feel like I could be alone and appreciate it, because
Mhm.
I'm like, wow, we put this work in for today. Now my mental health, I would like to go take myself out. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
would like to get some good food. But we've been practicing like these little family barbecues. That's funny
Yeah,
that you say,
man.
like, how do you take time and measure the success and appreciate it? Like, honestly, like we like to do things simple around here. Like we're really family based, and
Mhm.
we like to go to the store together and just get
Just do normal stuff,
do
right?
some normal stuff that
Yeah.
doesn't include or involve the art sometimes. Like,
Right.
We had to scratch that itch though. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when we first like came into like some big money that we
Yeah.
didn't think that we would ever, like we had to scratch the itch of like all of the finer things in life and everything being designer and like,
The f-
like that itch had to be scratched. Like I feel like life is supposed to be experienced, but now the appreciation and the priorities are just now more solely based on our peace.
But where do you think that came from, right? Because you guys have that. For you to say, I had to scratch the itch, and I can relate to that. I came from very humble beginnings. I know the both
Yeah.
of you did as well.
Yeah.
And when I started making money in my life and really pushing through, yeah, I had the fancy cars.
Yup.
You know, I've had all the red bottom shoes and the purses and all of that. And but to your point, those were status things for me that
Yeah.
signified me feeling like I had made it.
Yeah.
But then what I started realizing was when those things were obtainable,
Mhm.
um, it was just a matter of me wearing the more comfortable shoes, and I didn't care if there was a red bottom on them or
Right.
not.
Mhm.
I started to shift my priorities
Yes.
and realizing that those things, even though I got them and they're nice and I appreciate them, it wasn't really the thing that was going to do anything for me.
Nah.
So what for you all in this time frame has been the shift, the mindset to say, okay, I scratched the itch and I'm done scratching the itch, or are you even done scratching the itch, or does the itch come and go?
Well,
I was just gonna say the itch does come and go, but go ahead.
well, I was gonna say that life has a very, very funny way of humbling you
Oh hell yeah.
at any given point in time.
Yes,
So
it
I
does.
feel like whether it's financially, whether it's just health wise, even health is so important to me nowadays.
Absolutely.
I think it should be important to everybody, but because without that, you're not gonna be here. You can never, you
Doesn't
never
even
know.
matter, right?
Knock on wood,
Yeah.
you never know. But
Right.
I feel like at any point in time, like, oh my God, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Well, you were saying like when we are talking about the rise and fall and scratching the itch, but you're saying you've learned to humble yourself.
Yes, life has a very funny way of humbling anybody. So I feel like from that we just learned that I don't know how to say this without really. I'm not trying
You
to
about to drop so crazy. Go ahead.
come back to me. I'm not trying to filter myself or nothing. I want to be organic with
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But go ahead and finish your thought.
Like with the itch coming and going, like that's like on point. Like that's on point because when we were like, you know, I don't want to say like I would like to say that maybe we were overindulging. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Like spending frivolous amounts of money, like overly, like $33,000 on a music video is the biggest waste of money in the on the planet. I don't care how many people are in it, especially when you don't have to spend it. Like when we went from doing stuff like that to like filming it ourselves, and you can see the quality difference. You can see how much of us is actually in these productions. Like with Renzell producing our most recent record, Bone. Like he's producing, he's making the beats on that, and we're writing the lyrics. But not only that, we've made the treatment for almost not, I want to say 95% of our music video catalog is all coming from up here. It's not a director over there or a director over there.
Yeah.
With the exception of a couple of things that we had some help on. But like for the most part, like now you see more of us. And I would like to say that us overindulging and then at some point losing it all, feeling like we lost it all, feeling like, you know, dang, all the money is gone or all of our friends are gone, or like, you know, like the increase in our adversaries or the people that didn't want to see us win, it found its way to making us realize like, yo, like we gotta be more human around.
Well, how
here.
do you
Yeah.
keep going? How do you keep the momentum going though? Because in moments like that, when you're starting to say, well, listen, the money, we're tapping out monetarily. We've got people that are falling off and they're not around like they used to, because that happens,
Hey,
right?
I made myself a promise to these people trying to see me win.
Yes.
That's
Elaborate on that.
Talk to him.
So I mean, like everybody has their days where they just want to call it quits, and that's no matter what occupation you do or whatever you do for a living. Like there are times where you really want to just stop. You know what I mean? Like not stopping to smell the flowers.
You wanna
just-
quit.
Just quit. You
You
want
wanna
to
give
quit.
up.
You want to be throwing a towel forever type shit. So
And when you say that, I mean, are you talking about, I mean, how deep are you saying it when you say
checking out a life, like,
like
going off
like,
on a deep
it
end.
gets it gets that deep. So what I was trying to say
Yeah.
earlier was
But this is important to talk about because a lot of
Yeah.
people,
yes.
whether it's this level of a platform, because obviously
Right.
you guys are on a whole nother, you know, platform, but
Right.
people on any shine of light go
Yeah.
through these dimness. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's important for people to hear this.
Yeah.
No, yeah, this is perfect because I've actually wanted to share this for a while. This last year, like I said, health has been a super important part of my life, and I'm grateful that I got to contribute it to my lifestyle because, like, over a year ago, the money was fine. Like, not that it isn't, but the money was fine. It was great. We were indulging frivolously
Yeah.
in whatever we wanted. You know what I
Anything.
mean? Like anything, like fashion, food, dates, whatever, traveling. And when you do that for a very long time, for some people, well, I'm gonna just speak on behalf of myself. When you frivolously just indulge, whether it's binge eating, binge drinking, binge smoking,
Watching,
whatever, when you get in those little corners of life that are very, very bad for you, it doesn't just take a toll on you physically. You know what I mean? Like for somebody like me who used to binge eat. There was a point in time where we used to work long days, and my free time wasn't rest. It was free time for me to eat and eat. I would find myself in pockets of eating, for no reason, because I could. You know what I mean? Because I could and I wanted to. When you want to eat, you should, but when you can't take advantage of that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I was taking
So it became like an
advantage.
addiction for you.
Almost.
My man got chubby.
Uh-huh.
And he
Yeah.
comeback gangster. You are a comeback king, bro.
For lack of better terms, I got chubby.
A friend of mine, she comes on the show often. She always says the issues are in the tissues. And so when he's binging that way, there was something that was emotional connection for you on that.
Yeah. Well, at the time, we were going through like a lot of changes as a group, so there was no real way for me to cope because I'm not a drinker myself. I'm not a smoker. But I do love good food, and I still love good food.
So that was your coping.
That was the way I would cope with everything.
Right.
So whether it was comfort food or just a bag of chips.
So what was it for you then to realize that I'm not just going over and snacking on food. This is binging. This is connected to something that's happening to me emotionally. And how were you able to connect that dot? And then, because I don't think you ever 100% overcome the way we find ways to kind of numb ourselves.
Right.
But how do you manage it?
Well, so like I said, that accountability that we've been able to have with each other for years now, like our chemistry. I went back home to Chicago and I went to the gym with my uncle, who's my personal trainer. Shout out to my Uncle Jay, Uncle Kangfrvr. He was my personal trainer. I came back home and I was like, man, I feel so out of shape. Can we go to the gym? And this was like in the middle of that pocket of my life. I went to the gym and he's about to be 40. You know what I mean? This man's in great shape, period. And I'm like starting to get a little chubby. So we do one workout. At the end of the workout, I'm dying. And he's like, let's walk home. I'm like, oh, you're trying to kill me. Like, okay. But we lived really close to the gym. So I'm like, okay, let's do it. I FaceTime him. And I'll never forget this, but this is really, really, really what kind of sparked it. I FaceTimed him and me and my Uncle Jay were walking home shirtless. And this is so funny, but this is true. I'm like, yo, what up, bro? Like, I don't know if he called me, but
I'm scared to hear what he's about to say.
He called me. Hey, you're keeping it a band with me. I'm like, I'm with Uncle Jay. We're walking home. He's like, damn, man, he looked better than you. And like, he said it. And that's just how blunt. I don't take it disrespectfully.
But what did it mean to you? I mean, what was that? I mean, obviously, like
he's like, damn, Uncle Jay got a 6-pack. What's up with you? Like,
hey, that's my boy.
Like,
you know what I'm saying?
Since we have that chemistry, I don't take anything personally. Like, that's my boy.
But what did that mean to you? Because for somebody who it's not even a big deal, and like some people are like, all right, I'm just eating. It's not a big deal. But if it was a trigger for you, then it was a deeper something. Yeah. And what was that?
It was that obviously, like, we were at a point in our careers where we were like, it could go either way. We could stop right now and still be fine. You know what I mean? But for me, I knew that the job wasn't done. Like, the job wasn't done. So if I wanted to continue working, I had to do better.
You had to get a grip.
I had to get a grip. I had to do better, give myself some more discipline. And when I heard him say that, I was just like, he thinks I'm finna tap out. Like, he thinks I'm finna tap out soon. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, nah, man. Like, this is not how it's... I'm only this age, this time in my life once.
Right, absolutely.
So, and with all this energy that I still have, I might as well do something with it. Wow. Because I have the extra energy. You know what I mean? Like, when we used to do this work, we don't look at it as work. It's fun. Like, this shit we do is fun. But after that, when you find time to relax, I still had so much energy.
This is something you guys have passion for. You know, they say, what is that one thing that you would do for free? And when you get to live in that, although it's the thing that of passion, and for the most part, you're doing it and it's fun and you're enjoying it, right? But it has its pitfalls, right? So here you are, you're going through something and something that you love. And I guess I'm trying to emphasize this because I feel like you guys can really encourage a lot of people because we all, like, even now, I'm gaining momentum, like you said, with my show. And there's an audience and there's a following. Thank you. But to the outside, it's seemingly great. But then my inbox is now full and I've got this and I've got that going on and it's overwhelming and it's
Right.
daunting. And sometimes I'm like, I get imposter syndrome. Am I good enough? Am I going to succeed? Is this, do people really see what do they believe in who I am?
Right.
So I'm pretty certain, you guys are far beyond where I'm at,
Nah, but we
that you
get the
went through
same
that. But was
thoughts.
that part of what kind of triggered you into this binge? And did you have a thing that you kind of went through?
Yeah.
What
Hell
was that
yeah.
for you?
I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna let him answer.
No,
But when
please.
when someone's back is against the wall, we talk about this all the time. That's when you find out who they really are.
Mm.
So for that point, for me, I had to break myself down because everybody was. Well, he didn't do it for me, but
Right.
Here's a
made me-
caveat to that.
he was like, he held the mirror for me. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I saw it, and I was like, oh shit, you're right. You know what I mean? So once you break yourself down, that's when you really figure out if you got that dog in you. Like if
Right,
you really,
right. Or if you're gonna cheat to win. Like,
or
are
if you're
you
gonna cheat.
Yeah.
like are you gonna take the easy way out or are you gonna fight?
And is there an easy way?
There's an easy way into some bullshit. Like I don't
Okay.
want to call it an easy way out. It's an
Mhm.
easy way into some bullshit, or like there's an easy way into some bullshit, and the easy way out is like doing taking yourself out, checking yourself out, icing yourself, letting it go, like completely just not being on a planet anymore. That's the easy way out. That's the only way out is to die. You know what I'm saying? Like, so every day that you wake up, and that's what I realize is if I get up today and I do my thing, I won already. I already won because that is the key, like, indicator that you're losing is if you quit
Right.
or if you stop. So I know that if I get up and I do my very best, it doesn't matter if it works, doesn't matter if it, you know what I'm saying? I already won. So I look at
Yes.
every day like a brand new adventure, a brand new journey, a brand new opportunity for me to beat the guy that was yesterday. So those are two jobs, waking up and realizing that adversity is on its way regardless, like inevitably.
Mhm.
And that's one thing about gangsters, being aware of the opposition or the fucking, the energy that's going to oppose me. Like, and once I recognize that, I'm planning against it using what I learned yesterday or what I
Right.
learned from.
But where do you get into that? Because we're kind of tapping into mental health, right?
Yeah.
And it's a big thing, especially with young people.
Right.
Yeah.
And I personally, because I'm older,
Right.
and I look at what my life was when I was your age, when we didn't have social media, we didn't have these platforms, we didn't have. I mean, we were high school. It was cliquish, right? Like you were in
Yeah.
high school and you were as popular as maybe 100, 150 people who knew your
Right.
name, right?
Right.
Now I'm on a device and there's hundreds of thousands,
Millions.
if not millions of people who are liking you.
Mhm.
95, 99%, 1% of them are actually people I know.
Right.
99% are complete strangers.
Right.
And yet these you've got young people who are falling off because they lose followers of people they've never met.
Right.
Or because
Right.
you've got people trolling their accounts.
Right.
So how do you keep a level head when the world out there is saying you've got everything at your disposal and I'm telling myself I should be this already
Wow.
and not having the patience to get there or not putting in the work. It's everyone has this feeling like I need to be this grandiose thing
Yes. Yes.
as young people.
Yes.
And then when they don't get that or they don't get the attention from it
The
or
instant
whatever,
gratification.
we're seeing people take themselves out.
Right.
So how do you get to a space?
We all fall victim to that. We all fall victim to that. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter how broke you are. It doesn't matter where you live. Everybody falls victim
But do
to
you
that at
think
some
this
point.
world that you're in this platform that you guys have, can really, really create that level of darkness for you?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But the key to success ultimately is just self-fulfillment. Like,
Right.
you have to fulfill your own prophecy, your own, like, your own dreams. And like, I even tell my mom this, like, my mom, me and her are not like, we're not on bad terms or anything like that, but we're just not as close as we used to be just because, and I understand that the intimacy level is in a weird place, but me and my mother, we're not the closest people in the world because she has her own prophecy to fulfill. And because I am understanding of that, because I've experienced it myself and making a choice and knowing like my community, like my inner community, my very immediate atmosphere is the most important thing. So I have to protect that peace so that I can fulfill my prophecy.
Right.
So it's like it's like when you jump into a car, you got to put your seatbelt on before you start the ignition, before you got to check your mirrors and all that
Right.
other extra stuff. And some
Mhm.
people don't do that, but that's a bad habit. It's like, so for my mom, I understand why the intimacy level is a little shaky right now. Shout out to my mom, I love you. But she has her own prophecy to fulfill within herself, because
Right.
I could do a whole bunch of things to make her proud, but what is she gonna do to make herself proud?
Mm.
You know? And I feel like that's the only way to like slip out of that
And
dark
I think
place.
it's hard for some moms. Okay, I did a whole show on forgiving our mothers and things with moms,
Mhm.
but or anybody like, but particularly let's say mothers. Like when you talk about that prophecy, fulfilling what it is in you that you knew that you could have come, and watching maybe your kid do that.
Yeah,
Sometimes it can create a little bit of attention
for
or
sure.
tension, and sometimes there
For
could
sure.
be uh, a little bit of jealousy sometimes,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
not in a way that's like, I don't love you, I'm not proud of you, but what you're doing and by fulfilling your prophecy reminds me of me not having done my own.
Yeah.
And so creating that tension, and like you said, and I think this is like key for a lot of people who are really on a path and they're clear what that path
Yeah.
is that sometimes, like you said, putting that seatbelt on, checking the mirrors before you get on that road,
Yeah.
that seatbelt click is called your boundaries. And
Right.
sometimes people who are super close to you,
Mm.
you have to kind of put them on the sideline.
Mm.
Like, I love you because that's my abundance to love you, but right now you can't interfere because you're a distraction.
Mhm.
Right. And
Mhm.
so part of that growth, and when you're growing and getting to that next level and seeing certain people fall off, especially when they're people that you thought were always going to be by your
Yeah.
side,
Yeah.
that can be part of the pain in the process.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. And you gotta learn from that. Go ahead.
No, I was agreeing. Uh, recently, like I had to, as a man, I had to create boundaries, and for myself even, because I would allow a lot of certain things to just slide all the time.
Mm.
Um, and it's not even the craziest thing. It's just little things that I know if I paid more attention to it, and made a small adjustment, then it would made a hell of a difference, a bigger difference in the future. But I feel like protecting your peace, as far as your mental health goes, like I feel like protecting your peace,
Yes.
and not letting anybody uh not necessarily tell you how to live, uh is the most important thing to not, because we live in that world where, like you said, social media, I feel like social media is everybody going to the same high school now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
That's
Mhm.
true.
That is
it's
crazy.
everybody going
That
to
is
the same
crazy.
high school, like, because it's a bunch of people you don't know, some
And
people you do
everybody's
know,
judging.
the popular people, the cliques and all that. Everybody's judging you now.
Everybody's judging.
So it's like everybody's going to the same high school at this point. And then the college, because it's older people in the world on
Right.
social media. You know what I mean? Like it's
Hello. I'll
we're-
put me in college.
we're
oh,
all a part of the same school now, and we're all judging each other, whether we try
So
not
what's
to.
the silver lining? Because I feel like when I first met you, for example, when you first got on this podcast, there was this big thing with being an influencer. It's such a buzzword, right? Being an influencer, having all of these followers and stuff.
Right.
And I remember there was a conversation you and I had privately where you were like, and I'm about to do some things and put some stuff out there. And there's a sacrifice that's going to come with it. It's going to cause me to lose people.
Yup.
Followers are going to fall off.
Yup.
But I have to be true to my creativity and who I
Yes.
am, and really tap into who your audience is in this next phase.
Yes.
So how do you guys feel for yourselves now as far as what you want to do creatively as musicians, as artists, as dancers, all of that, and being true? And as I'm circling back to the beginning conversation of that authenticity, and how do you want it to play out in the social media world? Or even is it as important anymore?
Lately, I think that the challenge is like putting as much artistic information, information in an artistic way, like as a reminder to myself at times that I might feel down, like reminding myself that I'm really him. Like, and that I've been that within
Mm.
myself, you know what I'm saying? Like, and reminding myself in my lyrics and reminding myself in my videos and reminding myself in, like, you know, my friends are the direct reflection of me. My
Mhm.
girlfriend is a direct reflection of me. Like, you know, so like I have a very high level of respect for the people that are around me as a reminder to myself that I'm really that guy. And so that is now my new conquest. That is, like, I would like to say that's all of our new conquests now, is just making sure that everything that we put out is affirming, you know, self-affirming that
Mhm.
we are worthy. You know what I'm saying? That we have waited patiently our turn and now we're here to collect.
Right.
We're here to collect. But who's going to give us our flowers if we're not, you know, either giving them to each other or just reminding ourselves or giving them to ourselves?
Yeah.
Because ain't nobody gonna clap for you like you're gonna clap for you.
Yeah.
You know?
But that's what you just said right there. What's important is that you clap for you first. And I think
Yeah.
that a lot of artists, a lot of people, whether they're in such a platform as this or anything in success,
Right.
is we're so external about it, right?
Yes.
We think about what they would want
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to saying, if I were to live my life not to get the fulfillment and the gratification from others,
Mm-hmm.
but to be a fulfillment for self
Yes.
and to have gratitude within myself. Again, what would I do for free?
Right.
And what would I invest in if I didn't care what people thought? Like, I remember there was a gentleman, his name is Timothy Ferriss, and he wrote the book, The 4 Hour Work Week.
Okay.
And he started a podcast, okay? And he said, I started the podcast with no intention of how many people am I going to get as followers,
Right.
who's going to be listening. I got on there and I said, all I need to do today is talk to myself. And if anybody out there listens, that's just an additive. He made it about his own fulfillment.
Yeah.
And do you all feel that at this stage in your music and what you're trying to do creatively, that you're saying, you know what? I'm going to pretend like the whole world doesn't exist. I'm going to lock myself in my basement, right? And put my music out there as though I'm telling the story just to myself.
Yes.
And do you feel that it changes you creatively when you are when you're being what was it said, your prophecy, when you're living in your
Yeah.
prophecy instead of living out what everybody's expectations are of you?
Picture this. I'll use you as an example because it's just the most convenient. You are beautiful. You know what I'm saying?
Thank
Like,
you.
in your physical form, you are so stunning, Lolo.
Thank you.
If you went on TikTok, not saying that you would ever do this, but if you went on TikTok and you started twerking and it got 10 million likes, just because, you know, you have a child that looks, you know, growner than you, and you over here on the internet snapping, and it got 10 million likes, that wouldn't even equate to the type of sensation that you could give yourself by doing this, what you're
Right.
really doing.
Mm.
What you're really doing, like what you want to do, and you're revealing yourself, you're revealing parts of yourself, and people embracing that, even if it was 1,000 likes, and that turned into 10,000 views, and then that 10,000 views rolls over to, and you're sharing your prophecy, your testimony with these people. Like one of my favorite TikToks that you have, or just pieces of information, because I hate calling them, like, you know, what they are, which is TikToks, Instagram videos, whatever. But when you shared that story about not really wanting to understand the sickness in the minds of the people that would, you know, do these heinous things in the
Mhm.
world, you don't want to understand them. That right there, that piece of information is so impactful and it's so influential that I know that the satisfaction would be way different. You know what I'm saying? Than a
Yeah.
video of you doing something just for the likes or for the views. So, like, I try to put myself in a position like that, and so does Renzell, and so does everybody on the Future Kingz. We try to make sure that, above all things, that we're being ourselves, because when you win being yourself, that's what BONE is about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
BONE is
that.
an acronym. Go ahead.
BONE is an acronym. So BONE literally stands for being ourselves never ends. And so what we meant by that, obviously the literal form is, yeah, be yourself.
Yeah. You
But
got to face yourself regardless at the end
you're
of the
gonna
day.
have to, exactly, when you crumble in your grave, when your flesh starts to deteriorate and it's just your bone, you're gonna see that, like, you want to know that you went away. I was being myself down to the bone. You know what I mean? Like, take this off, take this off, take the skin off. I was being myself all the way. You know what I mean? That's what BONE is.
Mhm.
And you know what? I love that. And I love that you all are getting that now,
Yes.
right? And not and taking the risk and sacrificing and saying, you know what? If it's gonna make 200,000 people fall off, as an example,
Right.
or 100,000 or 5, or let's say it takes me back down to 0 and it
Right.
rebuilds, it's building me down to my bone.
Right.
You know, stripping away it's almost like kind of what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Even looking at your business and what you want to do, because this is a business for you all, and looking at it from a perspective saying, no, this has to be authentic.
Yeah.
This has to be me down to the bone,
Yeah.
which means if I'm going to get down to the bone, I'm going to have to strip away some layers just to get there as
Exactly.
well.
Yup.
You gotta trim
And
the fat.
so you got to trim the fat. And then what you end up with is real, authentic, genuine people who really are intrigued
Mhm.
and they love your work
Mhm.
and they love who you are. Same thing with me. It's like me putting on a podcast, and like you said, consistency earlier. I believe in the message I'm sharing.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I believe it because it's my testimony.
Yes.
It's what I went through. It's what I lived through. It's what I understand. And all I really genuinely want is for people to get it so they can have those fulfillments.
Yes.
So we can have conversations like this, right?
Yes.
But for me to put my work out there is to do it authentically. Whoever's going to latch on is going to latch on. Whoever doesn't, doesn't.
Right.
But either way it goes, if it touches one person or a million people,
Yeah.
either way it goes, I'm fulfilling my prophecy.
Yes.
So I love that you said that, and I feel like, God, you guys are so young and wise beyond your years, and I hope that doesn't, sound condescending.
Nah, it's respect.
But-
Thank you.
I hope both of you realize that through the pitfalls, through the ups and downs of whatever you're going through, the fact that you are being more and more authentic, staying more and more true to yourself, because I always think that you both of you were,
Right.
but to really do it without any apologies. When you're feeling like giving up or when you're feeling like this is not going to work, I hope you guys just keep freaking pushing.
Can't help it.
Can't
help it.
because I love and listen, I'm not 20 some years old anymore,
You
but
look 20. You look 20 something.
Right.
I'll take it. Thank you.
Go, go,
He
go.
was like
Go,
earlier,
go,
he was
go.
like, that guy was like almost 40. And I'm like,
No, but he look
look
like
good.
he my age.
Hey, man, for real.
But what I'm saying is you guys are, I love how innovative you all are in your music. I love the warmth of it.
Wow.
It just, it feels good to hear it. It doesn't take me down this dark rabbit hole. And I think we just need that.
Yeah.
Like I need to hear music where I see someone get up and just move and dance.
Yes.
And there's even the content you guys put out there. I feel like it's you've got young kids doing it. You've got
Yup.
all ethnicities doing
Yup.
it.
Yeah.
I love the people that tag in and want to do your video. You're inspiring. Everybody's doing the head move.
Hey, shout out to
biting
all
it.
the Kangsters worldwide. Shout out to all of you. You guys are the reason why we're able to do stuff like this. That's what this podcast is for y'all. So
Love it. So what's next? Because where do y'all see yourselves in the next 5 years?
you want to start off, or
Um,
I already know. For me personally,
tell him what's up.
myself as an artist, as a musician, I am masquerading as a director. Real
Ooh.
talk. Like I have fallen in love with directing
Mm-hmm.
in a completely different way every year of my career since I started the show business. Like when I jumped into the entertainment industry as a whole. So like now, like Kangfrvr Productions, like we're shooting our own music videos. We're shooting other artists' music videos. We're shooting like all types of stuff. And
not
we're
just them.
storyboarding this stuff. Like even down to Dirty. Dirty is my favorite production we've ever come up with. And that was just this year.
Mhm.
Like, like, I don't know, 6 months ago, like half a year ago, we dropped Dirty featuring Hobson. And that music video's got a load of just subliminals in the music video, but it's all fulfilling because it's all a piece of me. Like I got an ex-girlfriend in that video. I got like my best friends from this high school in Chicago and then my best friends from this high school in LA. Like I've got all types of like, I got my little bros in there. I got the future of the group in there. I got like,
You could watch that video and it depicts a lot of things for you.
Yeah.
And this is what I love and which I think is so important about people who aspire to have goals, whether they're lofty or, whatever, is that you're finding your lane because you keep taking the steps.
Yes.
Right? And when we get analysis paralysis where we think, should I do it? And how do I do it? And what do I do next? You'll find your lanes as you put one foot in front of the other. So like I was saying earlier in the introduction is like y'all went from dance on the streets and high school dance or whatever it was to this brotherhood and these this thing to being on a stage like America's Got Talent, then to understanding the next step was, okay, we're going to choreograph music videos, to creating your own music, to now, hey, I'm a director. What about you, Renzell?
I'm more of the same thing, but I feel like obviously we're going to continue to be ourselves and fulfill that prophecy. We're going to fulfill ourselves. And I feel like you said we're like, every time you take a step forward, you're finding your lane, but I feel like you're paving the way. You know
I
what
love
I mean?
that.
Like,
Well said.
I feel like that's what more so we're doing. I feel like we didn't jump into this dance thing trying to be like somebody else, and then jumping into the music trying to be like somebody else. I feel like we were always in the middle. I always say we were always in between Chris Brown and like Hobson. You know what I mean? Like I always felt like we were that if there was a lane, but it just turns out we're paving the way for ourselves. Shout out to Hobson, by the way. Really incredible human being, artist, independent,
Yeah, he's dope.
does everything on his own because he can. He does what he wants, not what he has to do. You know what I mean? He does what he wants to do. And we take that with us we're gonna take that with us all the way. So yeah, we're just gonna keep paving the way. For myself, I would like to just keep representing for like other people, the other gangsters in the world, not just my skin color, but every skin color that can align with our message of just being yourself and using the knowledge that you can gain from. He said this thing a while ago, but he said that human beings is like a infinite amount of, it's like a library. It's like a library. You talk to somebody, you're gonna learn something new. It's like checking out a book. And the more conversations that we have with each other, that we allow to have with each other, and in a more comfortable and not so with our guard up. You know what I mean? Once you have a conversation with somebody, you're like, oh, you're actually a lot nicer.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like you're actually a lot whatever. You take the ignorance away.
Yeah,
you take the ignorance away, and that's what we're gonna keep doing. We're gonna fight the ignorance with our knowledge. That's what we're going to keep doing.
Well, I love that. And I thank you guys for being candid. I love that we just were kind of off the cuff and just having conversation, and you guys were very candid. So some closing thoughts. I would love for you guys, whoever wants to start, for people who are out there watching, inspired by you all, what are some mindset takeaway that you can give to the people out there?
Don't let nobody but you be right about you. Nobody. Don't let nobody be right about you but yourself. Every morning that you wake up and you do your thing, they're gonna hate it. They're gonna hate it because they want you to stop. And that's all that they want. That's the only way that they'll win, is if you stop. Don't let nobody be right about you but you. And that's gangsta. That's not perfect. It's gangsta. And that's it. That's
I love that.
That's me.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, if you made it this far, why would you stop now? Like, if you made it this far, why would you stop now? And I'm also gonna say, if you ever feel like you're in a situation where you make the wrong decision, you better make that decision right within yourself.
Y'all got some little nuggets.
Come on, man.
I got it from him.
Hey,
he got it from me.
I love it.
For life.
I'm so like, I could just let y'all like sit and just talk. I just love it.
Stop.
And I love seeing the growth. I really do. I mean, even you chopped your hair. If we didn't get to talk about that, you have to come back and we'll have to have a conversation about that journey. But where can everybody find you? I've got my audience, so I want my audience to know how to connect to you all. So where do people find you? Where do they hear your music? And just give them the goods.
Well, you can find our music on any streaming platform, Apple Music, Spotify, at The Future Kingz with a Z. Same with our YouTube. That's where you'll find all of our music videos. Or if you're lazy, just go to thefuturekingz.com. And that's...
If you're super lazy like me, and you open your web browser and it says Google, type in The Future Kingz with a Z, and then you'll get the whole shebang.
And y'all definitely need to do and download their music, because it's the bomb. Listen, I'm going on my little workout kick. I'm being, dirty with it.
Dirty with it.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, hit the subscription button if you like the content. Give us a thumbs up. Send us your comments. I will add some links onto this episode of how you can get in touch with the Future Kingz and listen to their unbelievable music and all of their creativity. Watch the videos too. They're pretty dope.
Kangfrvr.
Yes, sir.
So until next time, thank you, gentlemen. Ciao.